Thank you for tuning into the Purple Team podcast. I'm Eliza-May, the CEO and founder of thatsecurity.company and PocketSeam. I'm joined today by Dan DeCloss, who is the CEO and founder of PlexTrac.
My name is Dan DeCloss. I am the CEO and founder of PlexTrac. I've been a cybersecurity professional for going on 16 years now, worn a lot of hats, including a principal penetration tester, and worked on internal penetration testing teams as well. And then I was also a security director where I built out a blue team. So had a lot of pain points in my life simply around getting the real work done within cybersecurity. So that was kind of some of the impetus for PlexTrac.
Oh, fantastic. I always like to speak to people that build companies out of frustrations, because they always fill a need that is a niche need that is needed. So will you tell me about PlexTrac? I don't know much about it. What is it? What does it do?
Yeah, absolutely. So PlexTrac is a platform specifically geared towards the proactive and reactive sides of any kind of security assessment. So we talk about purple teaming, and we abstract that definition to really mean the red team. It can be those traditional deep dive technical assessments, the teams that are doing all of that activities, and a way to write their reports easily, deliver them straight to the people that are receiving those reports. So whether you're talking about an internal team or an external team, it's a web-based platform to do all of that. But also, if you're a security assessment team that's doing more of a gap analysis or a risk assessment or a compliance-based framework assessment, you can conduct all of those activities within PlexTrac and have an easy way to write that report, bring all the evidence in, enhance the report, because now you have the ability to add, videos. You can show start to finish from your exploit perspective. Automate that report writing process, and then deliver it straight to the customer or the end user, where they can immediately start fixing the issues. They can have a status tracking capability, so it can become their internal ticketing system, or it can integrate with Jira, ServiceNow, ticketing systems to show the remediation and the progress there. And so it really facilitates the engagement lifecycle workflow, and then ultimately leads into risk management from the dashboarding perspective of, the CISO can see, hey, of all these different findings, these are the ones that we should be prioritizing. And here's the actual progress that's getting made straight from within PlexTrac.
A use case might be a blue teamer or a SOC analyst, for example, that needs to consolidate vulnerabilities, reports, the remediation process, and maybe it ties into like loads of different teams. Is that how the purple team aspect works of it, where they are all using the same platform rather than it being a platform for like active penetration testing?
I think that's one use case. Yeah. So like from the penetration testers side, they can start to make all their notes on their findings, and they can start to put in all the issues that they're going to report. They can even, specify these are the activities that we're conducting, and then the blue team can see that in real time, right? And so the blue team can say like, okay, I'm able to detect this, and they can make their own notes, or they're like, yep, this is a finding. We're going to assign it to Joe, and he's going to go fix it, right? So that's definitely kind of that purple teaming aspect, is like it really facilitates the data collection, basically setting all the repository, of having a repository of all of the information from the red team, and then the blue team can also immediately begin working on it. And so from the blue team's perspective, they can aggregate data across different types of assessments, different teams, and assign those out, right? So you have this platform that from the blue team perspective aggregates data, and you can show progress and security posture improvement over time. From the red team, it helps them write the reports much easier and enhance that report writing life cycle, as well as be able to conduct effective purple team exercises and tabletop exercises, right? Because you can show, here are the activities that we're testing. How are you doing against these?
Okay, so I had a look at your site today. I think it looks pretty awesome. And am I right in thinking that you can plug a domain into PlexTrac, so you can scan a domain, a URL, or
No, yeah. So basically, like if you're a penetration testing team, so we have customers that are consulting firms as well as enterprise level teams.
Right.
So they would be doing their own scans and then bringing that data in, right? So if you're doing a web scan with Burp or with NetSparker or something like that, you can do the scan, export those results, and import them into PlexTrac, and then consolidate them across different tools. And then you have a consolidated final report that you would deliver through the platform. We can also do custom templating to Word documents. So any keep your look and feel and your branding of the document that you may normally deliver. But so like that can become an artifact that could still be the final deliverable, but you can also do your readout and have that ongoing collaboration on the results within PlexTrac, which is really where the value comes in. Because I don't know about you, but definitely I was in the boat where I do a pen test, we do a great job, we deliver it, spend a lot of time writing the report, getting it looking all nice, come back a year later, and it's like the same findings are still there. So nothing was done with it. So wanting to have more collaboration on the remediation life cycle is really important.
Yeah, I totally get that vibe from you guys. We've actually had someone on recently, a pen tester, who said the exact same thing, and this is a frustration with a lot of penetration testers. So yeah, I think in really bureaucratic environments, it's quite odd because you can have all the right tools, you can have, intelligent people, but things just get lost because A, of the bureaucracy, and B, because there's so many different platforms to communicate with different teams in different parts of the business. So I suppose that's where this comes in, doesn't it? And in terms of vulnerability management as well, being able to track it, that's pretty cool. So there's a quote I took from your website. I really liked it. Our status tracker and integrations. I don't know what your status tracker is. I'm assuming it's like a Jira type thing. Our status tracker and integrations with thickening systems mean findings can be reported and remediated in the same interface. No more 500-page penetration test reports. Thank you very much. So anything that sort of streamlines either side, really, blue or red, I think that's a winner. So where did that idea come from? Where did that frustration come from? What sort of things were you facing in your career and corporate environments that made you just think, oh, stuff it, I'm going to go and create this myself?
Yeah, so like when I was doing penetration testing, both as a consultant and on an internal team, we wanted to stay focused on the hacking, right? And writing a big report took a lot of time. And so there's always the techniques around, hey, write the report as you go, but then you might be on a team where you're collaborating with 3 different people on an engagement. And so having a central place to really store all of that information and know, hey, these are the findings that we're reporting, that we're going to be reporting. And maybe, somebody else finds a similar issue. And so you're not duplicating the write-up aspect of it. Those were some of the early frustrations. And then just nobody likes generating a 500-page pen test report. I mean, that's not fun at all. And then I was also the recipient of those, right? Where it's like, what am I supposed to do with 500 pages of pen test results? I want to know immediately what I should be doing now to what are the primary issues I need to fix now, and then can I have a way to track the results of those and show the progress, right? So like if my boss is asking, hey, where are we at from a risk posture perspective, I'm gonna lean on the pen test results as some of the highest priority items, because those are the issues where they've circumvented all of the security investment that we've made, right? So we want to know, these are some of the most important results in our risk management process. So having a central place, I don't want to have to deal with documents. I want specific findings that I know how to go and fix. And so our status tracker really does that as well. You can show the progress of the finding and the remediation over time and make comments. So that way, if something happens, if the same finding gets reported next year, you can look back at what you tried to do the year prior. And so you don't keep repeating the same mistakes. And, I was finding that a lot of times that just doesn't happen, right? It gets put into a spreadsheet. The guy that was working on the results leaves the company. So now that spreadsheet is lost and nobody really has good visibility as to what was reported, what the status of the fixes are, and then you're kind of back to square one.
This is a really cheesy ad break. This podcast was brought to you by PocketSeam, the world's most cost-effective seam service.
We are very focused on the assessment lifecycle right now rather than the incident response. So where we would fit in the incident response lifecycle is once an IR team, well, one, if they want to do a tabletop exercise, PlexTrac is the way to go, right? Because you can set up your own methodology, you can set up your own run book, so to speak, and then just walk through it, right? And so then you can make comments and kind of test that part. But then from the traditional IR perspective, once an incident has been investigated and everybody ends up writing an after action item report, right? And so you can write that full report in PlexTrac, and then anything that came out of that as things that need to get resolved can be written up as findings and put into the same risk management workflow as a pen test report. So things that we do ingest from are, vulnerability scanning tools. We do have an open API, so anything that is reporting some kind of finding can be inserted into PlexTrac. And then our goal is to also be able to facilitate, augmentation of data through threat intelligence, and that's kind of a longer term roadmap item. But so like once hey, I have this vulnerability in my environment and you see it being exploited in the wild, PlexTrac will be able to say like, hey, you should prioritize these items. That's not there today, but that's part of the plan.
Oh no, that's a good long-term plan actually. So so is this something that you can I don't know, if I wanted to search to see if the company that I was at had faced for the duration that they've had PlexTrac, they'd faced the same issue that I'm dealing with right now. So I could just type in a word search. So I could type in a specific type of Microsoft vulnerability and see if that came up, see if they'd faced that before and if they'd patched it, or if it was still in sort of the remediation phase. Can it just bring up anything like that based on text searching?
Yeah, to a degree. And then really where we shine in that arena is that anything can be tagged, right? And so you can tag items with different finding IDs or, CVEs and things like that. And then in our analytics section, you can go and filter based on those tags. And so from a workflow perspective, yeah, you could bring up, a list of all findings and search by text and say like, okay, yeah, these were the findings that exist. But what I think is even more powerful is on the analytics side is like how many findings, let's take MITRE ATT&CK, for example, like how many findings have been reported related to lateral movement, within my environment. So you can go to our analytics dashboard and search for the tag lateral movement, and then any findings that have been tagged, under lateral movement, you have visibility as to like what those were, what their criticality was, when they were reported, have they been fixed? And so now I can say like, okay, this is where I'm going to focus for the next week. I'm going to go fix all of these issues because, we know that's a problem in our environment.
Yeah, I think that's great. That sounds really good. I'm also really impressed by your resources tab on your website. It's so extensive. I love it. So if anyone is listening and they want to find out more just about how the security operations in a corporate environment works and how that ties into PlexTrac, I would advise going and having a look, because you've got videos, you've got webinars, white papers, podcast, everything. So obviously you guys are really passionate about sharing knowledge of the wider community. Does that come from you being the CEO? Is that filtered down through you, or did you bring someone on that's particularly got an interest in community engagement?
Well, so I would say like I am a big proponent of, helping move the needle in, and that's our mission as a whole within PlexTrac is helping everybody move the needle to the correct place within their security program and their security posture. So we definitely believe in giving back. And we've hired some great team members to be able to help generate that content. And I do contribute to some of that content, but I got to give credit to our team for continuing to share that vision and promote that vision, because that's really at the end of the day what our goal is to really help everybody develop a strong and mature security program and be able to quickly identify the risks that are the most dangerous in their environment. And the way that you do that, and this is just from my experience, is you got to eliminate the things that don't matter. Right. And so when I have to spend hours, formatting a Word document, that's hours taken away from actually finding a security hole in an organization. If I have to spend hours copying and pasting information from one system to another, even if, that workflow is already pre-built, it still takes time to take stuff from one format and put it into another. So there's having ways to eliminate that friction is really our goal. But from the content perspective, we've got a great team that's continuing to generate and help give back to the community based on the wealth of experience that we've got.
How long have you guys been going?
Yeah, so I would say we've really been pushing the product hard for a little less than a year. Maybe a little over a year. The product has been in development. I started it as a side project and just kind of built it up organically. And then, we, really started marketing the product hard about this time last summer. So we were only known amongst, some of my colleagues and referrals in the pen test community, hated writing reports and wanted a better way to write reports. So we've really been, marketing, a big chunk of the last year. So we're really hopeful, that we kind of take off and really show the value that, there's a very big need within enterprise security program management or, risk management, specifically to improve those processes and have better visibility into what's going on in the environment.
So tell me about the PlexTrac risk register.
Yeah, so that is a very good use case. When you have a consolidated list of risks, you want to be able to prioritize those, right, and group them by different potential projects or teams that need to be remediating risk. And so with PlexTrac, the goal is to be able to centralize all of those types of activities. So when you've got risks that are coming in from a GRC team and an incident response team and a threat intelligence team and a vulnerability management team and an application security, there's tons of teams out there. So PlexTrac really, by consolidating all the findings, you can tag those, and our customers use it in different ways, right? But you can say, hey, I want to tag these as this level of risk. And so then in our analytics dashboard, you can select and filter based on those types of risks. And now you have a kind of a global view of these are the risks that exist in our network or an environment, and what should be prioritized. And then we're constantly improving the platform too. So additional dashboarding and reporting around those risks is our goal as well. We aggregate data from all the different sources. And then what you also provide with PlexTrac is the ability to show the collaboration between the different teams. So what a CISO wants to see is how are we doing from a security and risk perspective? And I want to see the trends. And then I also want to be able to dig in and see what caused those trends to change. And by using PlexTrac and having the teams under them use PlexTrac, then the CISO now knows okay, the reason our risk posture improved was because the pen test team reported these items, and then the security engineering team went and fixed them. And so you can see that data in real time. And so that's really the living risk register, what we like to call it, is that not only am I getting information about what risks exist across all the different sources, and that's the key difference, is that you're aggregating risk across multiple sources and teams, and then they're able to collaborate amongst each other. So there's a lot of time saved in that regard as well. Then we can actually prove to the CISO that this is where they sit from a risk posture in real time, and you can't get that with other platforms today.
What I'm going to do is just ask you some random weird questions that got nothing to do with purple teaming.
Sure.
So let's say you're going to go into the boxing ring with your biggest adversary. What is your walk to the ring song?
Good question. Let's do Eye of the Tiger.
Great.
you gotta go with that one, right?
Absolutely. What is your favorite information security book of all time?
That's a good one. That's hard to nail down to one specific one. But I would have to go with the IDA Pro handbook written by, I actually, know Chris Eagle. He was a professor of mine in graduate school. And I really enjoyed doing a lot of reverse engineering back in the day. And so that's got to be the one that just kind of immediately pops to mind. But there's a lot of good ones out there, right?
There is. So last question. What is the best free swag you ever got at a security conference?
Oh, that is another good question. Clearly, maybe not anything that memorable, because it just ends up being T-shirts and squishy balls. But I'm sure I always like the things that are going to last a long time. I think we did get a tumbler once that was kind of one of those thermal tumblers. Those are always good ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I got I can't remember who it was from. It might have been like Egress or something. A pen that also doubles up as a multifunctional screwdriver and a torch. And I was like, oh shit, this is amazing. Anyway, I thought I'd just ask. So is there anything that you want to add, that you want people to go away from this knowing about PlexTrac?
I think that there's a PlexTrac for everybody, and if whether you're a small security team that is just getting started, PlexTrac is the ideal solution for being able to track and manage your entire risk program. And even if you don't do penetration testing, at some point you're going to have somebody do a penetration test on you, and you can give them access to your platform to write those reports straight in and streamline that process. So there's really, and then if you're a larger organization, it can help consolidate all of the things going on, right? And trying to, bring a little bit more order to all the chaos on a daily basis. So we really just want to emphasize that there's a PlexTrac for everybody.
Thank you, Dan, for coming on to the Purple Team podcast. It's been really nice to have you and find out more about PlexTrac. If anyone is interested in learning more, they can go to plextrac.com, and the link to that will be in the write-up next to this podcast. I don't know the official word to say. I just said write-up. So yeah, thank you for coming on, Dan.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I love talking about purple teaming and improving everybody's security posture.
That was Dan DeCloss, the CEO of PlexTrac. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you again next time.